In Chapter 13 of Hector Hard Mode, the story continues as the protagonists go to Santa Cruz to inquire the whereabouts of Eliwood's father. Unbeknownst to the duo, the Marquess has committed suicide by shooting himself 3 times in the back of the head with a repeating crossbow. What an unsuspicious tragedy. There's a lot going on in this chapter. This is a siege map with a total of 29 enemies, including Guy, a Myrmidon who can only be recruited by Matthew. Unfortunately, Matthew is dead, so I cannot recruit him, and red unit deaths do not count towards your survival ranking, so he'll just be an additional foe. If I defeat every enemy, I must also figure out a way to participate in 200 or so combats to get a 1-star combat ranking. The tactics ranking is an easy 1-star because I can take my time on the siege map, and the funds rank this time is actually relatively simple. For 1-star funds, I can only profit 900 gold, a minuscule amount, but fortunately there's very little of worth to obtain on this map to begin with. Guy's items are not obtainable since I can't recruit him in this run, and all of the stealable vulneraries cannot be stolen because Matthew, the only thief you can get by this chapter, is dead. There's a torch you could get in the northern village, but it's kinda useless. Visiting the same village also unlocks the gaiden chapter 13 next, but in the minimum ranks run, I will unfortunately have to skip any and all gaiden chapters because they are guaranteed to add additional tactician points to my total. I will gain at least 1 tactician point per chapter, and obtaining 0 points in a chapter will typically require 3 character deaths. Since there are no gaiden chapters that give you 3 units, entering any of them will always do more harm than good. Fortunately, even if you meet the requirements, all side quests are strictly optional. However, skipping this particular gaiden chapter has a few complications, because if you don't visit chapter 13X specifically, Merlinus does not show up until a few chapters later, denying you access to the convoy for a little while. The only item I can get that's worth anything to me is the mine in the southern village to use for the enemy control glitch in a later, tougher chapter, and even then, it's only worth 500 gold, which is underneath the threshold, so my funds rank is an easy 1-star. The XP rank is a bit more difficult because I'll need to get less than 600 XP while also having to put more than 1/3 of it towards the 200 or so combats I need for my combat rank. But the execution for this chapter is relatively simple. I just have Marcus charge towards the southern village to obtain the mine, and then have him kill as many enemies as he can, while everyone else sits in the upper right, fending off the approaching enemies while giving most of the kills to Eliwood and Hector. I basically cannot use any of the other characters because at their low levels, they'll gain way too much XP if they score a kill. I am also unable to use heal stabs because the XP gained from using them is problematic when the XP margins are so tight. After I clear most of the enemies, I have Marcus lure a bunch of archers to repeatedly attack him on a fort 200 or so times to get my 1-star combat rank. I spend a lot of time trying to calculate total amount of XP gained for each individual character by the end of the map, but I was actually 1 XP off the threshold and obtained a 2-star XP rank instead of 1-star. I then decided that it's close enough because the actual metric I'm optimizing for, the tactician points, didn't change, and I didn't want to replay the entire map. I decided not to kill anyone, so I have a 5-star survival ranking, and the final rank overall is D, granting me 1 tactician point, the same amount I would have gotten if I did it properly. And since I didn't visit the northern village, I automatically skipped chapter 13X, giving me 0 tactician points for that chapter, bringing me to a total of 4 tactician points out of 20. After completing the map, Lord Helmet, the Marquess of Santa Cruz, imparts his dying words to Eliwood so he can move the plot along before passing for multiple fatal wounds which are definitely self-inflicted.